Welcome back to the WatchTower Film Podcast, the film review podcast on the Towercast Network by cinephiles for cinephiles.
Chugga.
All right, we're back.
All right. We're not a train.
Ooh. Is that what you're trying to do?
Let's get this train going. Choo choo.
Yeah.
We're not talking about trains in the slightest. I don't know why. What are you, Thomas the Spank Engine? What is it? What is this going?
Thomas the Wank Engine.
Whoa.
It's a children's show.
Hey, how about
We're
Definitely not. Welcome the fuck back.
How about instead of trains, we talk about freak and we just
Get your hand out of your cock and listen to this show.
Match my freak. I'm here with my fellow co-host, Mr. John Eric Castro.
Train.
How you guys doing? We're gonna talk about some colors, maybe blue, maybe white.
I don't like the way you said that.
Bad.
Opening up the show.
Roll with it, bro.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Giving us an acting perspective, this is a very actor-heavy film.
Yeah.
Set of films. Mr. John Eric Castro, Mr. Michael Lalonde.
How's it going?
Nah, you don't say shit.
Offering his cinematography perspective. When he's got to say shit, he don't say shit.
Come on, give me something more. Give me a Delo introduction.
You know what you haven't done in a while? You haven't done your Oscar voice.
It's got to come out naturally, Austin. I'm not just a button you can press.
Yeah, you are.
And
you like to be that button, too.
But not least, he's last in announcing the names. Mr. Austin Young. Make sure we're sounding good on the 1 and 2s, other than me messing with the mic right now. How you doing, Austin? In the back?
Hoping you'd just for a while.
I need you to stop saying shit.
We got
Here,
Austin
we're gonna
wearing
take a
his
tiny
best
tea.
hat.
Austin, can you drop my mic real quick?
Okay, yeah, he's muted.
Was that needed?
Yes,
nice.
I got it in the right spot now.
And lastly, our humble film servant.
I'm your humble film servant, Carlos M. de la Torre. Offering a red and directing perspective.
Yeah, he is.
Why did it sound like a bad fire alarm? Just fucking...
You know, I've been recalling a bunch of
Sound that he makes when he falls, bro.
a bunch of our old episodes recently. And
Yeah.
we haven't talked about our PA in a while.
That's true. This is very true. But we used to call him, was it the PA or was it like the secretary or
Just
the
the
assistant?
PA or
Intern.
intern.
Intern. It was the intern.
Yeah.
It was the intern.
Whatever happened to that intern?
No, that guy's around somewhere.
He filed,
still alive.
Probably off chasing the wee-woos.
he filed a complaint to
Oh
HR.
man, now
so
all
we
the
have to get rid of
wee-woos
him.
are going to start coming.
Where's that from?
It's that TikTok or whatever.
There's like two old men that they just arrived to their house
gunshots.
and they hear gunshots in the background. They're like, oh damn it, all the wee-woos are going to go off.
And then it cuts to like them in this front lawn as the like fire trucks are passing each other. Wee-woo, wee-woo.
That's it. That's the whole video.
This is great. Welcome back.
Austin, play the wee-woo video.
Play
No.
the wee-woo video.
Wee-woo.
No,
Come on,
no,
wee-woo
no.
in the back. Come on, let me see
Audience
some.
can do that on their own.
Let me see
What are
some
we
wee-
talking about today?
We're gonna
We're
talk.
talking about colors. Carlos, which ones?
Accent, bro. I thought we talking about colors.
I thought he was gonna sing it like Ice-T, you know, like
Yeah,
colors,
bro. Damn.
colors.
Living in colors. No.
How racist can you get?
I like that show.
Racist? Is that what you said?
Racist.
Oh, I heard racist.
You said racist.
Is the
Yeah,
he's
black
racist
racist.
for racism, so maybe. You like black what now?
No, braces, like black racist.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Hey, we're Mexican. It's okay.
Yeah, that's true. We're going to talk about Krzysztof Kieslowski's.
Colors.
Kieslowski's.
You said that pretty good.
No, I think I got it wrong. Krzysztof Kieslowski's.
I'm not even going to try that.
Can I try?
Sure.
3 Colors Trilogy.
Yes. This,
Give me a second. We can get his pronunciation.
Kieslowski. Kieslowski.
Oh,
Is that where you buy a couple of fucking sandwiches?
We're going to talk about...
That's Schlotsky's, dude.
that's Slotsky's, but pretty close. We're going to talk about what some people refer to as the hymn of European cinema.
Oh, wow. The
Like
guy.
a song? Him?
No, like he's
Like, yeah, like
Himothy.
hymn, like a church song.
Oh,
Like
okay.
a-
Oh,
like a
I thought you meant
chorus.
like he is him.
No.
Like Himothy,
Hymothy.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah. This trilogy is continuing / finishing our
2-week trilogy.
2-week trilogy binge. It was supposed to be a month. I'm sorry. But it covers blue, white, and red.
In that order?
In that order. Although you can watch these films in whatever order, technically.
Hey, Carlos.
It's the French
And
flag.
the reason for this is because it is the French flag, and it represents the virtues of the French Republic, which are freedom, equality, and fraternity.
Fraternity.
And that's what each of the themes are in each of these films.
But did you say that they can watch them whatever order?
Yeah, the director essentially said these are three independent
But you
films.
can't,
could
though.
yeah, you can. Think about it. You
What
start
about
with
the
red.
red?
You start with red and you see that, and then you continue on to the other ones, and then paints the story. You can watch them in whatever order.
Interesting. Okay.
But recommended to watch them in the order that they're meant to be watched. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I'm so happy we got to see most of us on the big screen, because I had never seen the films in the theaters, and I thought that was such a special thing. Thank you, Alamo Drafthouse, for bringing them back to theaters for the 4K restoration.
Thanks, Ted.
When were you introduced
Dad.
to these films?
Huh?
When were you introduced to these films? As a kid or
No,
yeah,
over
older?
the pandemic. Over the pandemic, it was one of those bucket list Criterion pick things, and I think this was one of those blind watches. Like a lot of people had kind of recommended it over time, and I was very much into the French New Wave over the pandemic, watching things like Jean-Luc Godard's films and things like The 400 Blows, and that name is escaping me. He's my favorite French New Wave director.
It's not Godard?
No, Godard's not my favorite. I like Godard, but I like what is his name? He directed the 400 Blows.
You're giving the audience good movies, man. They're probably writing them down right now. Francois Truffaut and Agnes Varda. I was getting into Agnes Varda pictures and stuff like that. So the French New Wave, and then I started thinking to myself, what the hell happened to French cinema? Because the French invented cinema, and they quite literally did. And then the Americans stole it. And, Or French gave it up.
Can we talk a little bit about that? Like, how did it come to America? Like,
basically,
A boat.
yes, a boat.
well, I'm just saying so we can educate people who may not know.
I mean, it was
Yeah.
war. Essentially, it was war. It was transporting films. Basically, French filmmakers were documentarians at first, right? It was the Lumiere brothers doing stuff like train arriving to the station, or people walking out of the factory, just these slice of life things, because they were literally shot on a camera that could do this, and created this crate camera that could shoot 24 frames a second, and saw the motion, saw the magic trick behind it. But once they did that, it started catching on. And guys, the Americans were very prominent in France. That's how the American Revolution, we were talking off camera, was saved by the French. And you had smart guys like Thomas Edison going around looking for his new inventions, and taking cinema back to the States, setting it up in New York, and creating Nickelodeons. And Nickelodeons are these small theaters, basically, you'd put a nickel into, and you could see these, 30-second films.
Is that really how they came up with that name?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nickelodeon.
So,
were
like
these
the
little-
cartoon channel stole it from
It's
them?
based on that. Yeah, it's based on little films, right? It was mostly vaudeville stuff, like for kids and stuff. So, Thomas Edison basically would, unfortunately, there was no plagiarism laws back in the day. There was no infrastructure for what to do with cinema. So he would bring films, show them in theaters or show them in his Nickelodeons, and profit, and would not give any of the filmmakers overseas money.
Oh, wow.
He'd just steal their shit. And yes, he invented the light bulb, but he also stole cinema from the French and made it very prominent in America, where guys like, George Méliès lost all his money and wasn't able to continue to make films because guys like Thomas Edison were reaping all the benefits. So it came to America, but then it started getting popular, and vaudeville and theater kind of started dying down, and cinema started growing. And then you had guys like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton and create United Artists and make cinema prominent in America. And then those guys would take cinema back to the overseas, and it was just a constant table
So in a
tennis
very
match.
American way, it became popular in the U.S.
Yeah,
by stealing.
by stealing it. Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so I started wondering, the French New Wave came in the 1940s through the 1960s and 70s, and it was the way to tell stories that weren't American, because Americans were making musicals and these kind of hush-posh G-rated films that started dying down.
And the French were like, well, let's just do something different. You know, let's do something original where we come from the city of art and culture and poetry. And then you had guys like Godard and Truffaut and Agnes Varda make fucking masterpieces. And then we get into kind of modern French films, which I didn't think there was any splash in the last 20 years, 30 years. And then Criterion comes along and curates fucking amazing, you know, French new wave and modern French films during the pandemic. And voila, Three Colors Trilogy kind of pops up. It sits in a weird international limbo, the Three Colors Trilogy, because it's made by a Polish director. Two of the three films take place, one of them takes place in Poland and / France, which is white. Red takes place in Switzerland, and then blue takes place in France. So it's not technically all French. In fact, even the languages aren't all French. I mean, red is in Swiss. So like it's a weird kind of limbo to the point where when they submitted for the Academy, they submitted it as the Swiss pick for the Academy Awards that year, red. And the Academy was like, I don't know, man. This is kind of French and kind of this and kind of that, and they didn't accept it. And they asked Switzerland to submit another film as their consideration. And they were like, nope, no thanks. And they didn't submit a film that year. So, like, it's in a weird kind of limbo where it's representing the French flag and French Republic principles, but it's a little bit of everything European, which is, I think, something kind of special. But yeah, these themes are obviously very universal. And I mean, for these films to be made in the 90s, you know, I thought it's something great. Because as you guys know, I think the 90s and early 2000s for me are the worst years in cinema ever. And for something like this to come out, it's just like proving me wrong. So I think it's pretty great. I just couldn't stop talking about these films when I first saw them. And again, I got to revisit them recently at the theaters with these two. Austin and I saw 3 at the theaters, and fucking amazing restoration. And
Ricky joined us for a couple.
Ricky joined us for a couple. Lau joined us for a couple, and just fucking fantastic. I think.
Yeah, they are.
Gosh, so you're in the middle of production, right? That's why you couldn't make it.
Yeah, you guys had bought the tickets early, and I was thinking ahead. I was like, I know I'm gonna film those weeks. I couldn't go with you guys.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, again, I think talk about a magnum opus. This was the director's last films, and
were they 1 year apart each?
Yeah, but they were shot back to back.
Back to back.
They were shot back to back, the 3 of them. This kind of big undertaking.
Why is that though?
In order. Well, because he knew he wanted to make them. He knew what story he had, and sometimes it's cheaper to do it that way. Believe it or not.
Did he do it chronologically? Blue, white, and red?
Yeah. Yeah. So just a long-winded way to say that I think these films are fantastic, and very little people know about them for whatever reason. But they are kind of the most prominent films in this director's filmography. Nothing else really hit as hard as these did. And I think they have a lot to say about the human experience.
I will say this.
Yeah.
When we were pitching ideas for like what do we want to talk about for trilogies, I know we had a couple of different like picks in there. Originally, I was talking about like a Western one, and then we thought of like what else did we think of? We
did we did Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
We thought more kind of mainstream. There was a couple more mainstream kind of.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people would have thought any one of the like Star Wars trilogies or anybody like the Lord of the Rings trilogies and all that stuff, even The Hobbit. So, and for those trilogies in the conversation of like what makes a good trilogy, it's one storyline that's kind of followed all the way through, right? Mm-hmm. It's one central idea that you're following from beginning to end, how the story goes. I mean, we watched Back to the Future, and that was like an amazing trilogy because of the way it like ties up loose ends and everything, compared to something like this where, I mean, when you watch them, I remember even it was a conversation of like, dude, you need to finish Blue before we go see the next one so that way you'll be like caught up. And then I remember watching White with you guys in theaters, and it was completely different. And I mean, and really to the point where like you don't need any kind of reference or anything because the film itself is just a wonderful story that could stand alone. And I mean, most of them are.
I think all of them are.
Yeah, they all are, and then they just have that one through line that you know, like really connects them all, which like is a visual gag.
Yeah, very small connective tissue.
But then also, like you're saying, it's this whole belief system. But I mean, do you feel that this holds up as a solid like definition for what a trilogy should or can be?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that's, man, I think unconventional cinema is dying. People are taking less risks, and that's scary. They're taking more risks as storytellers, but I understand storytellers not wanting to take risks in the continuation of a story because of how badly cinema has been ruined with sequels and franchises. I totally understand that. But then you have guys like Ty West who do X, Pearl, and Maxine. And like, yeah, fuck yeah, he did something special again with a trilogy. And again, that's not being done anymore. Not to that effect. Somebody who I feel is probably doing something in that vein right now is James Cameron, and he's taking 5 years to make one film, so it's a very kind of niche place to be right now, unless you're making fucking, Transformers or Star Wars or whatever. The continuation of a story is very hard because it can get stale. And the fact that the Three Colors trilogy isn't depending on another story for it to continue, but rather creating a through line through these French principles. And not just that, but this ability to craft a story that takes place in a continent, in the country, in the European kind of atmosphere, and make it very, very, make it lean very much into these principles of Europe, of Europe, but still very universal. I think that's extremely hard to do, and I think because of how unconventional it is, how different each one is. I'm personally a fan of that kind of storytelling. I implement that in my own storytelling of making unofficial trilogies. That's just been my favorite thing to do the last 5 years.
Can you elaborate on that? Because that's one thing that kind of threw me off. Like you said, White was a little bit different from the first one.
Yeah.
What connects it a trilogy besides the end and besides it being in the same country?
Honestly, I think a trilogy doesn't have to be connected by anything that strong.
Really?
Yeah. In this case, it is.
It just has to have
in this case, it is, right? The overlying kind of connective tissue is the French flag.
Right.
These three French principles, right? Again, freedom, equality, fraternity. These are the three principles that are connecting these.
I'm not saying that I disagree with you. I love that. It's a different aspect of it.
But the visual gag that Dela was talking about was the three different, by the way, it was two ladies and one man. The three different elderly people that are putting the bottle inside the recycling bin, right?
Yeah.
I guess we can kind of talk about how that is directly in correlation of where the characters are as they're witnessing this.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah,
so like in red and blue, she's in turmoil. She's in this trying to experience freedom because she's in a new city. She's abandoned her home. She's abandoned all of her belongings.
Like she said, nothing's important anymore.
And just watching this, I mean, there's one key difference, right? She's in her kind of sad turmoil, her mourning, but at the same time trying to experience a freedom that almost feels wrong. Freedom, right? That's the theme there. We go into White, where he's down on his luck. He doesn't have $1. His name, credit cards are frozen, getting divorced.
Loser.
Yeah, and in a city that he doesn't belong in anymore. He's trying to get back to his own city. How does he do that? He smuggles his way back. And then lastly, you have somebody who found almost their happy ending already by that point. Fraternity with a stranger. That's that theme in red.
I didn't get the red one. Okay.
Helping the old lady represents fraternity. She actually gets to her core kind of theme before the other two do. Before Blue gets to experience full freedom, she's not there yet.
So Red's already there.
White isn't quite at the equality part of it yet. He's below her. But by the time we get to Red, she's already experienced the true humanity of it all. She learns her lesson by meeting a stranger that thinks at first is a fucking creepo, and then discovers no, he's just a human who feels like he's fucked up.
So I'm not well versed in this stuff. This thing amazes me. That's pretty connected.
That small visual gag.
Yeah.
It tells you more about humanity than these entire stories almost.
Yeah.
Two people who are down on their luck are like, fuck her. Like, fuck him. Like, I'm going through my own shit. And then she says, no, I see the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
And I think
beautiful.
It's good the way that you phrased it, this whole idea of like the characters finding themselves in a position where they feel like they finally can help.
Right.
Because when we see the old lady in Red, right? Like it's this, I love the cutting between it because it's just her struggling to put this bottle in with the lead character's face just like stoned and just like somewhere else mentally and just can't connect to people around them because they're so fixated on having to get away from the problems at hand.
Yeah.
And whenever we cut back to the lady, she's like getting closer and closer to getting this bottle in the bin. And then right when she gets it in, it cuts back to her face and then it cuts back to her and you realize like the bottle's like stuck in the middle. Like it's not going all the way in. She's just like, well, that's all I could do, you know? Where it's so easy, I think, for the audience member to be like, oh, you just pop it in and that's it. But you're so you're seeing that this character's so engrossed that even like the small inconveniences in life that other people have that you could fix, she's just somewhere else.
I also wonder if, as an observer, if I'm watching these people, right? If you think you're a good person, you tell yourself like, I would help her, but you wouldn't probably. And I think on the observer side, it's living a life, right? Like this individual has lived a full life. They made it to fucking 90 or whatever age they are and are so weak by the end of it anyways. You know, like there's no, is that the arc? Is that what I get to look forward to when I just went through so much shit? Yeah, I don't know. I think it's again, this completion of an arc because all of these three characters are in limbo.
Yeah.
These three characters are trying to discover the next step. You know, Blue is life after death, you know, and not the Biggie album, but you know, it's life after death. And is it wrong for me to move forward? Do I want this freedom? Did I want this freedom? My husband was a piece of shit who stole my credibility and, you know, shit like that. And then we get to White where it's like, well, I love this person madly, literally madly,
obsessed,
you know, obsessively almost. And, will I have a future with them? And if I can't, do I want a future? And fuck yeah, I'm going to make the best future I can. But again, in this weird next step kind of situation, in Red, she knows what she wants already.
Like
she doesn't want, you know, the biggest question that she asked the guy at the theater, the judge is in this dream that he has of her, right? Almost like a psychic. Am I with anybody? You know, and he doesn't give her a very clear answer. It's just you wake up and you smile at someone. That's it.
Next to you.
You know, next to you. And that doesn't necessarily have to mean anything. You know, it could mean a kid, it could be a husband, it could be a friend, it could be anything. But again, that next step, faction of it all is like, she's an individual who was constantly on the phone with the piece of shit boyfriend who like was almost just leading her on and leading her on and leading her on. And individuality, like she found like, oh, I could do this by myself. And when I'm 50, if I'm with someone cool, if I'm not, I'm still going to get on that boat anyways. And we discover by the end of Red that she does find someone on the boat.
Was it
the other guy from the other line who abandons his dog and is going to kill himself? And, you know, because his girlfriend cheated on him. And
yeah, that's such a great thing because I remember even while we were watching Red, that the stories were happening in tandem. Like when he talks about like his past and getting cheated on, then we're also seeing this guy, and then there's that whole
think right that might
yeah.
Be
You're like,
oh,
is this just like some flashback that you're seeing like the time that you know he got his heart broken and all that, and then when you realize like, oh no, it's just this like I think you call it magical realism, like you know just
the guy who she's gonna meet is ultimately gonna get she's gonna connect with because a dear friend of mine went through that exact same thing, you know. And he's okay, you know.
One thing I learned how with Blue, I love the whole arc where she finds out that the mistress of what was it? Not Oliver.
The husband, that
Patrice.
That
she goes and talks to him and she finds out that she's pregnant.
Yeah, and then gives her the house.
I understand it to a certain like okay, that's not her kid, but it's from a guy that she loved.
More importantly, no, I interpret it a little differently. Sure, I think that's kind of a good foundation level.
Foundation, yeah.
But I think I interpret it in the sense that she's like, number one, greater good. Like, this chick's poor. This motherfucker didn't leave her anything. That wasn't his wife.
Who's poor?
The mistress.
Yeah, but that's not her fault.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Greater good, right? Like, you know what? Fuck it. Right? I'm going to abandon this house anyways because she's planning to.
I think the only thing that got her is when she said... he talked about you.
Yes, but that's the thing. She wasn't happy. I think her sense of freedom. If you hadn't caught on by now, Blue is very much a feminist film.
Yeah,
it's very much feminist empowerment, and I think that comes from a place of her not being content with her life. It's almost like this accident was a good thing for her.
Yeah, she
Is that
lost
what
her.
you thought? I thought
she lost her kid. She lost her husband. Her husband was ripping off her songs and taking all the credit.
That's what we.
And she
That's
was
what we realized.
a woman in society. She's just a mom and a wife. She's not an artist. She doesn't get to explore.
But that's what she realizes.
What?
All that at the beginning, she seemed contempt. No, like
No, because even the way that
they even talk about like the last joke the husband was telling that they were all laughing.
it's just a good joke.
Yeah, it's just a good moment.
But it makes it seem like they were a happy family. Kids in the back.
No,
this guy's
because
telling
as the
jokes.
films unraveled, you would discover that dude, he stole all of her music. He had an affair and was about to have a kid with this woman.
Unravels.
Yeah, it unraveled. But that's stuff
Well,
she
also-
knew.
Okay, well I kind of understand like.
From the very beginning of Blue, like right after the accident, if you remember the lady that was going to interview her,
The
she
reporter.
was asking like, "Hey, is it true that you wrote all of his music?" Like it was known, and it already kind of gives you that indication of like. That's why later on when she like throws away the music and all that kind of stuff, you're already kind of in the headspace of like, oh, she doesn't want anything to do with this because she's so upset at it.
It's one of those weird like fame, money, comfortability thing, and at the same time protecting the reputation of a man. It's like, almost
I
like
felt that so much.
like Michael Jackson, right? Like he's, would you protect his reputation or would you tell the truth?
Exactly.
That type of thing.
And what he is, right?
Yeah, and what he
exactly.
really is.
Yeah, exactly.
And in her case, she doesn't care. She doesn't care about that. She just wants to make good art. And she never got to really make good art or take credit for good art because of her husband. And at the same time, I think societally, everybody expected her to be the wife of a famous composer. She didn't get to be herself. She didn't get to really express who she was, and she had to be a mom.
Especially that phone call. Mom, my bad, go.
No. That's that. But taking away the mom and a wife aspect, freedom. Sorry. And also the guy pushing her in the direction of you need to fucking take credit and be yourself, and like you're an amazing composer. And he was an amazing composer. The guy she's kind of in love with now, right?
Yeah, but because I like that phone call when he calls her and he's like, I got the final part. Remember?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but it still feels like it's me.
Yeah.
It's not his.
Yeah.
Ah, dude.
And there's speculation. There's no clear answer, by the way. There's no clear answer in Blue of who really wrote the music. There isn't. They could have been a team that wrote it. The only thing we know is that he took credit. Whether she wrote it herself, maybe he was a musician or a composer that was amazing once upon a time. Yeah, and then fell off, and then she started writing music for him, and then he came back up. Or it could be that they were a co-writing team, but she couldn't take the credit because he was already popular. Whatever the case was, there's no clear indication. There's just the only thing that's clear is that she wrote some music and wasn't given credit for it, at least publicly. And now that he's dead, it's like that legacy thing. It's that. Do I break do I shatter the glass?
Yeah. I love that.
And again, that's also the father of her child, despite the bullshit. So you don't want to put.
That's what I was like. That's the only thing I was gravitating to. I was like, all right, that's why it's the child. And I guess it's poor, but I
honestly think, well, because she doesn't want any part of that life. She wants freedom. She wants social, artistic. Just love of freedom in all aspects of life. It's a new start of life for her.
Because even like when she goes over to the what is it called, the real estate agent, like at the very beginning, like she mentions her name, but then very quickly, without any type of emotional attachment, says, "Oh, actually, I'm going to go by this name because I go by my maiden name now." Just this very stern sense of like, I just want to be as far removed from this as possible. And I think throughout the whole thing, at least while it's like unraveling, you're led to believe that it's just her running from grief, not her chasing something else, And I love the way that the film, as it progresses on, it just becomes this story of like, oh, she never really was running away. She was just embracing anew.
If her husband would have lived to old age and her daughter would have grown up to go to college and whatever, I don't think she would have left. I think life forced her to get another chance at life. And she was going to take it and run. She wasn't going to sit around and, oh, my husband. Like, it was one of those things where, like, okay, they're dead. There's nothing I can do other than continue to live my life. But if I'm going to live my life, I'm going to fucking grab it, and really in stride live my life the way I've always wanted to, the way I never got to. So I think that's fucking massive.
And what about White? You said that's your favorite.
White is my favorite, personally.
It's got a different
I think we should
tone.
go around when we do our ratings and just give like
our favorite. But White for me naturally is just catering to more of my sensibilities of having this
Affair.
no
Revenge.
no, just the love story
Julie
that
Delpy.
you could either definitely Julie Delpy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you could either lean into and believe that it's a romantic attempt or that they're both fucking weird. But I like to think of it like this because basically the reason she's getting divorced from Carol is because he's sexually incompetent.
Yeah.
You can't get it up for her, type of thing.
Same.
And
Story of my life.
No, you're the brother.
What?
Yeah, you're the brother.
The one who doesn't know what's going on? Until
Yeah, and then every time, should I put some tea on?
Anybody want coffee?
it's a barber, right, or whatever.
Yeah. Do I need to put the tea on?
Tea, but a coffee for this.
And again, they're both like hairstylists, and they both have this salon, and but it's a weird kind of thing to where, despite the fact that she's like, I'm gonna divorce you and I'm gonna go fuck other dudes who can fuck,
the phone call.
he's still doing it like in connections to him.
Yeah.
She's fucking other dudes to prove a point. Like,
Yeah,
that's
because
really
even,
what it
like,
is. Even the
after-
window thing, on the phone call, and
Or even like at the beginning, like after the divorce, when they're like in the shop and he's like, "Oh, could I just get the keys and all that kind
she's
of stuff?"
still trying to sleep with him. Like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
still a sense of want. Yeah. Yeah.
Manipulation,
but,
dude.
again, like he calls and he tries to work things out, and she's fucking a dude. And she's like, leaves the phone off the hook, and like, I want you to listen.
Oh, that was the thing, right? I was like, how did? But she.
It's
she
bigger
did
than a revenge story. Is my point, right? On the surface, yeah, fuck her. She fucked up. She left me because I couldn't get it up or whatever. And then he gets to a point where he gets his revenge very, very
vigorously
and like effectively almost. But at the end of the day,
Shady.
he's still in love with her.
Yeah.
And he's still gonna go back and swirl in this craziness with her. And then, as we discover by the end of Red, they end up together. He ends up breaking her out of this fucking place, or whatever he does, because he's dead and he technically doesn't exist anymore.
But he does exist because they mention he's a businessman, and she's like, that's the weird kind of thing. Like the rope's not tied yet.
Yeah.
Because he's out and his identity's said, and everybody thinks that he's dead. So then, how is it that he's able to be on a boat?
I think that's karma, by the way.
What do you mean?
I think it's karma. I think it's karma catching up to him, because you fake your death. That's federal law. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you're dodging taxes and money. And the only one who knew it was his business partner, right? The guy that he basically saved. I love that storyline too.
Oh, yeah, the whole-
he wants to
What's
kill
that name?
himself. I'll
Mikhail?
pay you to kill me,
Nicole,
basically.
whatever.
And he's the only one who knows. But essentially, he's gonna get discovered.
Yeah.
It's making national news that your ass was on a boat that crashed, and so he's gonna get discovered. So there's no way in hell he gets out of that one. You know what I mean?
I thought that from the end of the second one. I didn't even have to see the boat crash. I was like, how are you going to prison? To visit?
No,
not visit
because
her,
that's
but-
money, right?
I know,
Money
I know,
talks.
but I'm thinking too literal.
No, but money talks, right? He pays off the guards.
Sure.
He goes late at night when everybody's supposed to be asleep and just sees you through the window and
Yeah.
whatever. And, I think that's great. I don't think he has enough money. He has fuck you money. You know what I mean? Like he
That's what it
has,
was?
he has fuck you money.
See,
Of
I
course,
didn't
he
see
has
with
fuck
you
you.
guys, so I was just kind of like,
Yes, fuck you money, and
Careful.
then at the end, he's probably gonna lose it all, but he gets the girl. It's a weird
Yeah.
kind of thing, and because then he might go to prison, and now she's got to come see him, and the tables have turned now.
Yeah.
I think that's
such a weird.
ultimately it's a happy ending.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it is a happy ending. They end up together, what they both wanted.
towards the third one.
Yeah, because he is able to get it up. He's able to fuck in that hotel room.
Because he fucking has a little confidence.
He's
of
got
a
the confidence of
fucking-
a exactly. Right? So, like, she experienced what she wanted
And
too.
I never heard you. What was he saying? I didn't hear you moan like that over the phone or something.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What a weird sentence.
But it's,
Like,
again,
oh my God.
it's
Who are you
insane
trying-
love.
trying to,
It's insane
boost
love.
your own
It's-
ego,
it's-
or
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I know, but the whole thing of like.
It's not wholesome love.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy, like,
it's really.
intense, batshit crazy love, but coming from both sides.
Yeah.
That is-
So we
uh,
need to become successful businessmen to fix our problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Ultimately.
Wasn't it crazy when I was screwing a guy over the phone and made you listen to him? Like, that's like, what?
But that's
Exactly.
the thing, though.
But
Like,
he's a loser at the end of
in
the day,
those
but,
scenarios, like Phantom Thread. Have you guys seen Phantom Thread?
The PTA one?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Nah.
Oh my gosh, man! The first time I ever saw that film, I
directed it?
won't fucking
PTA.
tell you guys what happens because
good
there's
guy.
a huge thing. But again, this insane love that you're gonna stick around for, like this.
But you say it's the madness of their
It's
love.
the madness of the love, and I think I think this film did it in a way that's realistic. You know,
Yeah.
it's not going overboard on something that could happen. It could, all of these films could happen.
Yeah.
Maybe fitting in a suitcase is a stretch, but short of
That
that,
was a pretty big suitcase.
I thought that was great too. Like they steal the fucking suitcase and
They
toss
beat the
them in the
shit out
gutter
of
and beat the shit out of them.
Did you see the little hole that he had?
Yeah, comedically again. Too. Like these films work comedically in the way they're trying
This
to work.
one.
And yeah, White especially.
Yeah.
But White is my favorite. I think
It hits all the notes.
it's like Wolf of Wall Street meets fucking Phantom Thread
Wow, I
meets
didn't see it
fucking
like
you know
that.
like it's great meets
With his
you know
comb.
Django Unchained like this just like revenge kind of factor and yeah I think it's really special. It's also like I was reading that people are basically saying blue is a masterpiece,
It is. That's my favorite.
red is odd,
It's odd.
and white is just the most palatable.
Yeah.
It's the best way to get people into these, according to like. It's just the most easily consumable. You know,
That's a good way to ease them in.
but I think white is underrated. I think white on the surface sure is easy to kind of digest, but layered so finely that is it a revenge tale? Is it a love tale? Is it both? And also a success tale? Is it the rise and the fall? Is it just the fall? I think there's so much to say in white.
I think also the fact that like you mentioned, it's such a it's a subplot, but the whole suicide of that guy, like
great.
that is fantastic. Like I've never been more engrossed in like that individual story.
Right.
I like this
and for
character.
for it not to be even for it not even to be like the main thing.
Mike almost fell, don't we?
We're good.
I agree because Red has a subplot
Yeah.
that we really don't care about,
Yeah.
right?
But like
this,
yeah, and when that one
is-
sees the conclusion where he's like, "Oh, are you still going to carry it out?" And then it's like, "Okay, did you bring the gun and all that?" And then they go, and even the shot, like the way it's filmed and everything, your heart sinks. And it wasn't the main story that we're following, but your heart sinks at that moment.
Yeah.
And then when he has the whole thing of like, "That was a blank. Do you want the real one? Like, are you sure?" Like that's
no,
No, that made me feel bad. Yeah.
it's great. That alone would have been a great film,
yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
Because if
without
it
the love
ended there,
aspect.
yeah, if it was just that, and it was this man like battling with himself, being
Yeah.
like unhappy and all that, and not, like finding a friend at the end, which was the guy who was gonna kill him. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. Like, I loved it.
I kind
And-
of knew from the beginning it was him, but I love this character. I
And a
love his-
very good friend that's going to carry out your death. You know,
Yeah.
like imagine that. It's just so good. And then we have Red.
Red to finish.
Red's an
tying up the
interesting
bow.
one, right? This great kind of I meet a stranger because I hit his dog, and then
doesn't care
discover,
about-
yeah, I mean, discover that he could give a shit about humanity. He gave up on humanity because of his own failings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the fact that he sent to prison his wife's lover, I mean, his ex-girlfriend's lover, after the fact, after she's died. And
But
he
legal.
thinks it's justified. It is legal. He's a judge, first a retired judge.
But I mean,
he didn't
it's
feel
so
right
easy
about it.
for him to be in that moment and be like,
Yeah.
you know.
Not just that. I think in any case, you would have said conflict of interest. Another judge takes over this case. He didn't.
But he acted out of
Yeah,
passion.
it's
took it.
true.
You know, so he feels guilty about that naturally. You know,
But why guilty?
well, because
It's a conflict of interest.
of course, because
But even he said at the end, like he felt right because it was the right thing to do. Like
but
the evidence was like it was legal. I sent him,
but it wasn't the right thing to do to begin with.
because it was
Because
it
of-
was too
of-
personal.
yeah.
It
He was too close to it.
And
Yeah,
the fact that he's carried that and said, "Fuck it, I'm never gonna make it with another woman because something like this could happen." And on top of that,
I can relate
I've given
that.
up at my own humanity because I'm a piece of shit because I should have given this up. I should have given it to another judge. Humans are just pieces of shit. Let me prove it. Getting this the conversation, equipment to listen in on other people's conversations and figure out, be the judge. Continue to be the judge of humanity, but a silent judge, it's not going to hurt anybody.
Yeah, that's what
So
he
he
says
thinks,
something, yeah.
but when he's discovered, he almost wants to get caught. He turns himself in. He goes to court.
Yeah.
He wants justice on himself because he meets her. He meets a good piece of humanity. He meets that good part of humanity that hit a dog and brought it home. When
When a lot of people would have just hit it and
took off.
Yeah.
And then not just that, but like when she sees that he doesn't treat the dog well, like fuck you, like you're an asshole. Like I'm gonna take the dog, and takes the dog and treats it, and then but there's still humanity left in him. It's just a matter of her kind of bringing it out again. And the fact that the arc is obviously like him being like, all right, I'm going to go back out on the world. If we were the same age, I would be in love with you. You know, I would pursue this again, but it's allowing me to try to pursue love again and life and care. And, you know, and look at the way he carries the puppy at the end and puts the collar on it for her. And, you know, his humanity's restored.
Man, well, that's true. I had it flirted because I just finished it right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
His humanity's restored. So Red, again, is it's the perfect. And then the fact that the entire time with Red, and I have a feeling that Kieslowski was just probably just like, I thought of this after filming fucking Blue or whatever. Let's make it so that she's gonna take a boat trip in 2 weeks. And she's using that as leverage to tell her lover, like, you're with me or you're not. I'm leaving in 2 weeks. You coming or not? And he's a piece of shit and he doesn't. And then, oh, perfect. If she does this and he's constantly checking the weather and then the weather plays a huge role at the end of it and then all of them are on the boat. Great. Not necessary. Yeah. I would have been fine without it, but it was great.
Yeah.
Necessary. Necessary. So, yeah. 9.2.
No, hold on. We got to give it for each one.
What? I thought we were doing a trilogy.
No, we're doing a trilogy, and then we say our favorite.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Just like Back to the Future.
Okay.
So 9.2 for the trilogy. My favorite is White.
Wow.
You gave the whole trilogy a 9.2?
I do.
Okay, I don't feel that bad anymore.
You're going next.
No, I was going to give it a 9.
Okay.
But I genuinely thought, like, you and the law might have given it a 10.
No,
I mean, there's still something that, you know, something.
I feel like as a trilogy, I think that a good trilogy needs a stronger through line.
Yeah, that was going to be my main argument about that. Yeah.
And I think that the fact that they all work individually well, and I mean, you know, you were kind of breaking down that they're supposed to be different aspects of like the French flag and the belief system. I think that that's fantastic, and I feel like the director did an amazing job when it comes to carrying that vision out throughout the films. Because each film, like by themselves, are just fantastic. But I feel like you could make 3 fantastic films that genuinely have nothing to do with each other and then just call it a trilogy because you want to. And I feel like that'll dock some points just because it's not, you're just calling it a trilogy for the sake of it. I know this one's more intentional, but altogether and with the conclusion.
But let's face it. If there would have been the through line where the 3 of them are sitting on a bench and talk to each other, like we probably would have been like, that's 2 on the nose.
No, but yeah, that's 2 on the nose. But something a little bit more subtle, but a little bit more.
The courthouse is the consistent thing. The courthouse is where they get divorced. It's where Blue goes to peek into the courtroom, and it's where he was a judge, and where he gets a sentence. So that's one of the through lines is the courthouse. And why? Because of the principles of the French Constitution and the Republic and the courthouse and belief in justice and, you know, what we hold up as values in our society.
I'm a little bit with the law on this
courthouse.
But go for it. What's the rating?
Well,
although I agree with you guys. There's no strong through line, but I don't want there to be.
No, I agree, but like that's the reason for me it's a 9. I think all 3 films are great.
Yeah.
My favorite is White as well. But
White.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm saying like a really hard 9.
So not
Did somebody have to help you get
Carol.
it there?
For people that watch the film Blue, you don't know what that reference is.
Yeah, can you help me out? It's a soft 9.
But yeah. But yeah, that's how I was like, oh, okay, now I don't feel so bad about it.
Man, does the 3rd one deal with getting it up at all? Because, you know, the other 2 do.
Nah. I mean, she's a model.
I mean, maybe the old man, like, secretly, you know.
No. That's too far.
Who's going next?
You.
Me? I'm gonna. What?
Tap out.
Pass.
Pass. I'm gonna match Austin
9.
Hard 9.
at a very firm 9.
Very.
Like, have you gone shopping for tofu? I have. Before you answer that question, and like they have like soft, firm, and extra firm. This one's like a firm 9. It's not extra firm.
A firm 9.
Firm 9. It has room to wiggle, but I think that each of these like do something really special. I think their ability for storytelling is fantastic, because you would never think that these I feel like if a less experienced storyteller was to come and try to tell these same stories, they wouldn't.
What?
What?
He's laughing over there.
Me?
Not at you. Sorry.
Okay. No, I just feel like if a less experienced storyteller was to try to tell these same stories, you would lose the engagement.
I agree. And they would have done shit that was too on the nose. It wouldn't have taken risks.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about this being an unconventional trilogy, that it's taking risks. You know, that it's again, tackling these things, you know, in the 93, 94, they probably weren't tackling. And something that's everybody can connect. Whether you like it or not, you can connect to these stories on a very human level. And I think that's more special than trying to create time travel through a trilogy. You know what I'm saying? Like something
don't talk about Back to the Future, motherfucker.
We all agree that it's fucking amazing trilogy. I just think that this holds more weight to using cinema as a reflection of humanity.
I think if we were talking about the films in general, they would be rated a lot higher. But since we're giving a rating as a trilogy,
That's on the nose, yeah.
is where it kind of like, I wouldn't say loses validity or loses.
No, it's just a different scale.
Yeah,
it's almost like rating something on a genre, like we've experienced before, where we're like, if you rate something as a horror film, it might be a great horror film, but kind of suck when it comes to like cinematic.
Unpopular opinion. I think that what I love about the Three Colors as a contribution to cinema is that it doesn't matter. Yeah. It surpasses the trilogy genre. You know what I'm saying? It surpasses the collection.
But that's what I'm saying. If we were to grade each one individually as its own picture, and stuff, but the fact that we're grading it as a trilogy,
that's fair. That's
completely.
At least that's where it loses the point with me. Like,
and there's definitely connective tissue, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
honestly, I feel like it's closer to an anthology than it is like a trilogy, and I mean,
yeah, sure,
because I feel like in that at least aspect, it's using again the through line, this message of French ideals mixed in with society and humanity, and each story's telling a piece of that.
And in case you haven't picked up on it yet, it's saying these principles exist on your own terms. There's no, it's a facade. It's a facade that society creates of freedom, equality, and fraternity. They don't really exist. They exist if you create them for yourself. You know, what does free really mean? What does equality really mean? What does fraternity really mean? It's all subjective. So I think that's all fucking awesome. I agree. But I think that's what's special about it, is that there's so much left in the air for you to grab and piece together for yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's the best cinema. But yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a trilogy. Yeah. I just don't know what to, I mean, we define Back to the Future as a trilogy, but does it hold weight for what I like cinema to do for me? No, sure, on the entertainment level. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. On a level of reflection and what art can be and how art can determine your next steps. Like, I feel like when I first saw this, I came out like, what am I doing with my life? And it's in the middle of the pandemic, so I can't do shit. But I was probably writing a script and was like, okay, all right, what am I going to do with my life? Like, it really made me reflect on, like...
Absolutely. You know, absolutely. I feel like...
that's fair. Nines and nines.
Yeah, and favorite of all them being white, just...
white still holds up the most.
Yeah, I think because, like you said, like it's palatability, but it's also the fact that the story takes you through all these turns, and you don't know who to root for, you don't know who's the bad guy. Like, I remember at the very, like especially, like, when you see that this guy just genuinely loves this woman. Like, he just genuinely has the biggest heart.
We didn't see a fragment of their marriage. We saw their divorce. We started the film with their divorce. We don't know why they fell in love.
And you were like, I think the whole time you're thinking like, oh, this guy really messed up or something like that. But it's like, no, he just genuinely cares, and she's just genuinely going to be like, nope, can't marry or stay married to a guy who, you know, can't get it up. And
well, more importantly, like, that isn't attracted to me. That can't have sexual relations with me because he's not into me. Any woman would feel like that. I totally understand.
Prove it. Name 3.
What I love is the most famous kind of scene whenever you see the Three Colors trilogy depicted anywhere, they show Julie Delpy in a wedding dress at the chapel. And that memory, that fragment of what's left of their love is, like, so important to tell the whole collective story of Carol and of whatever her name was. And it's genuine love.
again, just even her side, like you think she's being a bitch the whole time, but she's really not. And then you start seeing what Carol's capable of, and who's right there. You know, it's so cool, man. It's something I as a storyteller, I want to tell those stories. And like again, I revisit my brother's. I hear my brother's voice in the back of my head telling my mom like, "Oh no, dude!" Like my mom being all proud, like, "Oh, you're gonna make movies and have Brad Pitt in them," and I'm like, you know, my brother being like, "Nah, dude, like he's gonna make shitty indies that only French people get or whatever." Like, again, the last film I made was exactly that. Who's right in the situation? Fucking nobody. They're both wrong in their own ways, and they're both right in their own ways, and you get to decide. You get to be the proverbial judge, just like in Red, you know? I love that. I think that to me is humans are not perfect, man. They're fucking shitty people with shitty values, and again, especially Americans are fucking shitty people.
Yeah, the law.
America. We're shitty people, man.
American.
We're just like by nature shitty people. Even biblically, we're shitty people. The first part of depiction of humanity in the Bible is us fucking it up for the rest of them. You know, like we're just shitty people, man. And when we find beauty in that humanity by accepting the fact that we're not perfect and we're just human, I think it's fucking awesome. And when cinema can depict that without being cheesy and without being on the nose and without being insistent of itself, I think it's a magic trick, man. I think it's so hard to do. So for the three colors to really come together to show that in fresh ways, where one statement doesn't get still. Oh, so 90 minutes, man. 90 minutes a pop. That's fucking hard. That's so hard. What?
Before you talk about...
It is not fucking hard. It is fucking hard.
Before you get hard, can Castro...
My rating.
Yes.
Can you get
That's why I wanted you to go last.
No, yeah.
Correct us.
Although, the three of you saw it for the first time. So this is my second time seeing it. Maybe third.
This was your first time seeing the 4K restoration.
That is probably true.
Dude, when I put the white one on my DVD, it just sounded loud as hell. So I had to put the Blu-ray. I don't know why.
Why did you put the DVD?
Why? Where did you have the DVD?
On my Xbox.
What?
No. When I put the DVD, the 4K, you know how it comes with two?
Oh,
it comes with the Blu-ray and then the 4K.
It does come with the 4K. And
the 4K just goes crazy on my Xbox. I was like, whoa.
Does it play? Does your Xbox play 4K?
Yeah.
UHDs?
All the other ones they did though.
Oh, I don't know.
Just for the white one, it was kind of weird.
Maybe my
Wait,
Blu-ray's
do you have the Series X?
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways,
There's no follow-up?
No, it's because I can't.
Mine, look. Now
I love Castro because because he goes in and he gets really offended when I say this, but I think most people would connect with you
because I'm general.
Because you're general.
I'm simple.
No,
I'm
because
basic.
you're genuine in your ability to not give a shit about this until you give a shit about it.
Because I learned from you guys. Because right now, like I felt kind of dumb asking like, how is this a trilogy? But then you guys started asking the same questions. Like, yes, you're not your traditional.
You're really just gonna stick around there, huh, bud? But what I love about it is that most people will agree with you. Most people listening at home are like, fuck, this fucking movie's gonna be boring, bro. It's some French weirdo shit that.
And I didn't even see the trailer.
And you went in blind. You're like, you were loathing fucking watching these until he said what he said. He said he put a sticky note on the Blu-rays I lent him saying this is the last time, like a time frame you can watch this in before you have to record the podcast. Yeah. I gave this shit to him like a month ago. Okay, so
but I watched them.
But my point is, you were loathing like, it's this fucking thing. Especially because you're watching it by yourself,
right?
When you're watching it with us, at least there's some engagement. And
I wish I would at least the white. I wish I would have watched it with you guys.
But my point is that most people would agree with you. Like they're not interested. I think that's what's like. I think your opinion is like extremely valuable because you don't need coercing from us.
Well, no, I mean...
You just get the introduction and like, I get it.
After 100 episodes being with you guys, my palette for these, especially for international films that's developed, right? And with this one, the trilogy, the three colors, I mean, it just shows you how in-depth, some of these characters, some of these stories can go. Like with Blue. That's the one I could sympathize the most with her, right? Because, I mean, she loses a child. She just wants to get away from everybody. With the second one, that's my type of story. Right?
Mm-hmm. I thought you were going to connect with the second one the most. Yeah. Not just revenge, but like adventure and comedically, like it's fucking hilarious. Like who sticks a dude in the suitcase and they gets beat up in the day? And
it's got all those little elements that I really love.
Yeah, that you would love. Yeah. It's a crime film By the way,
his little shady business.
You know, like he's over here, like as a security guard, and then trying to get his. He's a reputable fucking hairdresser, award-winning hairdresser
with his comb, and
and is trying to make money.
Yeah, but then
then he gets his heart broken.
Well, no, but he ends up buying land from a place, knowing that the people that want to kill him
swindle the fucking
Somebody's outside. Hold on.
Outside the door.
You can come in.
Who is it? Is it Ricky?
It's Richard.
Oh, okay,
Richard,
He
Dick.
scared the hell out of me.
Hey, what's up, Dick?
What's up, Dick?
But anyway, just with my radio, just to put a bow tie on it. And then I went to Red. Red, I kind of saw it right now. I finished it. It kind of tied the whole bow together.
For sure.
I like bows.
We all like bows. That one I didn't really. That's why I kind of wish I would have sat with you guys.
You really do anything? Yeah. I thought you were gonna love that one too because of the whole spying thing and this judge. And I also thought the minute the judge thing was gonna be revealed to you, you were gonna be like, "Holy fucking shit!"
It was. It was. I just. I'll give it an 8.8.
8.8.
Yeah, because my palette is still being, I'm
expanded.
I'm being real. It's not my.
That's for the trilogy as a whole.
For the trilogy as a whole, for sure.
Fair.
But yeah, I mean, I was amazed that I liked Blue. I didn't know what it was gonna be about. And then you give this.
Oh man, and Blue being the intro, I think that's where we're all worried. Like, oh man, Costa's gonna be through a rough ride with Blue, where it's just.
No, I loved it. It's my favorite one, dude. It's like, how can you not sympathize with this lady that just wants to get away from people, and then,
wants a new life, wants a new start,
that has a name, and it's just.
I love what they do with the TV with the funeral. It's this national fight. It's like if fucking John Williams would die today, and his daughter died with. There would be this national outpour of love and, oh my gosh, she survived. She's in the hospital and lost her kid and lost her husband, who's this icon. And it's on the TV while she's in the hospital, and she tries to commit suicide too with the pills. She's like, fuck this. I don't want to live in this world because all I'm going to be known as is that fucking guy's wife.
Exactly.
Not as an individual
especially
artist.
when she goes to the strip club or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And she sees it on the news that the guy's gonna revisit the
the friend. I didn't realize. I read today. I don't know if it's true that it's his assistant. I thought he was just like a famous composer himself of his own reputation.
I don't even know that.
That's how I always took it. That he was his own reputable composer that was gonna take the challenge of finishing the last piece of his friend who died.
I kind of want to know that.
But it's also he knows.
Yeah.
He as a fellow composer knows. He's behind the curtain. He gets to see oh, this was your fucking music. How about you finish it here? And he's in love with her, which helps, I guess.
And then I really love that scene where she asked the guy, I think when it's all the husband dies or whatever. And I think it's the keeper or whatever. She's like, did you guys finish clearing out the room, the blue room? And she walks in. And it's the blue room.
The chandelier that she
But
takes.
at first you see I think the daughter must have drawn something on the wall.
Yeah.
And it slowly creeps to the right and you see the chandelier.
Imagine how strongly.
She just yanks on it.
Imagine how strongly you have to feel about something to leave that behind. You genuinely must have not have been happy in this life.
That is true. See, that's why.
You must have.
I didn't think about that. I was just thinking okay, she's grieving through. I didn't think was she happy?
Because when you're grieving, you want to smell the person's clothes. You want to live in the life again. You want to stay. You want to go and see the drawings of the daughter and car. If I'm leaving, I'm taking this fucking wall with me. Fuck no, I'm done. I'm reborn. I'm reborn and being myself.
See, that's why I really love Blue.
Freedom.
Blue is mine. Blue's
it's terrific. Wow. It's great. It's also the most artsy in its intention, right?
Oh yeah, especially all those little blackout moments.
I love it.
You said that you had a theory on that.
I don't remember my theory. Now my theory is different.
Because it happened a couple of times. The one time that happened is when the guy returns the necklace.
Right. It happens there. It happens when she's in the pool. It happens when she's swimming.
But it's when she was swimming and somebody the girl from downstairs
Which one was that one?
brings up.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The first time it ever happens is when they tell her that her daughter didn't make it in the hospital. That's the first time it happens. When they're like, yeah, your daughter didn't make it. Your daughter's dead.
And then what happens?
Bing, we fade to black. And that happens there for the first time. And then when she's in the pool, the whole point is the music is two things. It's the music and
it's kind of bringing it all back, right?
It's slowing. Yeah, it's bringing back the accident, the trauma, the death, the loss. But it's also I play music.
Sorry to hear about that.
Plays music also. Am I right, Dick? And I have such a hard time communicating to my composers what I want. And shout out to Eddie because he's always a fucking prince on like trying to figure it out with me.
Absolutely.
But there's a melody that I've written my first musical feature, and there's a melody in my head that I've always had with me of what I want the motif to be for the entire musical. And I communicate it to the composers, and they're like, the fuck is this? Like, what is it doing? What is it? And to me, it's this motif that I think is going to encapsulate the entire story into this motif. To me, that it's like this highly dramatic, biblical, Frankensteinish kind of, that's where her life's at right now. Mm-hmm. It's encapsulating her life. And I think that can mean a bunch of different things. I think it can mean that she had a shitty life, and anytime when she's trying to break into her own freedom, the revisitation of her past life is terrible. It reminds her that she was a mom. It reminds her that she lost her husband. It reminds her that she wasn't happy in that life. So I think that's the price she's going to have to pay for freedom and individuality. Is no matter what, this is going to come back to you. And the reason I bring up the composer thing is because when you write music and you know it on the composer level, you start thinking of life moments in songs and music. So to me, that's why motifs are so important in cinema. Mm-hmm. The minute there's a motif playing in a scene that's going to be a bookend for this moment, it brings everything together for me cinematically, because I think that's how people who love music on a I've written music level or I've played music level, that's how you process life. So to her, this motif is going to be the price she pays. It's going to come back to her anytime she thinks about her daughter or her past life.
Right.
But her finishing her piece, or the husband's last piece, is her renaissance. It's her rebirth. It's how she gets to define the next chapter of her life. And it's from like biblical principles, by the way. It's from 1 Corinthians. And it's this rebirth factor into it. So like, again, I think it's like this is chapter 1 and 2 of her life, and chapter 3 and 4 is going to be determined by this next piece of music. Mm. So anytime we hear that music, we don't really hear it in her happier moments. We don't. We hear the music she's working on. She plays it for the love interest. She's working on it. She's looking at the map. She's getting, we start to hear the new music as her new life comes into play, as she moves into the new apartment, as she's developing her new song, so to speak. And again, I think if a composer sees this film, will be like, oh, yes, of course. Of course, that's how the acts are going to break down. The first act is through this, and then we're going to revisit the first act when we're in the second act already, because she's not quite done with this chapter yet. She's trying to finish this chapter, and then boom, third act, we get new music. Beautiful. And then she tosses the music. It didn't matter anymore. If she was going to do something, she's going to do it from scratch and make something special on her own, without the lingering, this was my husband's piece.
Yeah.
It's so cool to me, man. It's just...
Yeah.
I think that's what's special about Blue, especially.
Not at all what I thought it was going to be. I think I blindly came into this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Good pick.
Good pick. Go watch Three Colors Trilogy.
What's next for us?
Are you happy that we finally covered it? Because for a while you had been wanting to just...
Oh, yeah. I've been wanting to cover this since I first saw it, 2, 3, 4 years ago, whenever it was in... And then again, like Criterion, thank you for restoring this, because this just came out this year, right?
Yep.
And the 4K restoration is fucking amazing.
Take a look at the cover. It doesn't tell you anything.
Good. Yes, it does. It tells you. Don't ever go to a museum, man, because you're not going to be able to interpret art.
What am I looking at?
You're looking at the three colors in tandem with each other. If you twist it this way, it looks like a book and pages, and they're all flowing with each other. And the fact that these are all the three colors in tandem with each other.
But what does that tell me about the story?
Come on, man. It's like Interstellar and the Wormhole. Like, it's everything in...
Well, now that you told me I see it.
Art is meant to be interpreted.
I don't see a book.
Look. Yeah, look at the pages.
Pages like that, man.
You know when you have an open book?
It looks kind of like an orange when you take one slice out and it's still like the two little...
Yeah, I thought that too.
Sure,
and then they just drop a bunch of colors.
Fine. Anyways, Three Colors Trilogy.
Orange.
Orange?
Yep.
I think nobody talks about this movie, and I think you should.
I don't know if you know this, but this is the third trilogy you've brought in us.
So what? The Before trilogy,
the Apu trilogy,
and now the three. I think I'm starting to accept it, man. I think like Holy Trinity stuff. You know, like I love trilogies.
The Trinity.
Yeah. Well, no, because you're, you know.
I'm behind the scenes. It doesn't count.
No, it counts.
It counts. I love trilogies. I think there's something that storytellers think is a dirty word.
It's risky.
It's extremely risky. But like the last
Temptation of Christ.
The Holy Trinity. No, the last 6 films I've made are parts of trilogies. You know, nice. You know. So, and then even the one I just finished is like has been explored to become a trilogy in different ways already. So, there's something special about the number 3. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to tell you. I'm very drawn to it.
I get it.
What?
Why you like the number 3?
Why?
I'm not saying it publicly, but I get it.
Oh, man. Okay. That's for Tower After Dark.
Next month/week, we're going to be covering Westerns, something we've never covered on the WatchTower
Giddy Up Cowboy
film podcast, as a theme month.
Are you guys going to wear your cowboy outfits next week?
We sure are.
Wearing it.
I'll bring a hat. I'll bring a cowboy hat.
I'm kind of down for that. I guess my pick's coming up next.
The Searchers. What is that? Is that even a film?
Or No Country for Old Men.
Or No Country for Old Men. I'm leaning towards The Searchers just because there's no classic fucking films in this lineup.
Wait, the Law's not doing a classic Western?
I'm doing Ballad of Buster because I thought we were going to do the Man with No Name trilogy.
If we're going to do modern, I'll go modern. I'll do No Country. I've never seen No Country.
Never seen No Country?
I've never seen No Country. I've never yeah.
I was supposed to watch it. I was supposed to watch it once and fell asleep.
Ballad of Buster?
No, No Country.
Oh. Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
It's a slow burner, but it's good, bro.
Yeah.
It's also about a psychopath, so.
And it's I think it was in Vogue or something. It was the #1 villain of
cinema.
Of cinema.
Wait.
Yeah, but if you get that from Vogue, I mean.
Oh, no. Yeah, Vogue was a very bad choice. I
mentioned this on the podcast.
Surprised that you're not doing True Grit.
The original or the new? I love both.
You love it, yeah.
I love the Coen's True Grit. You're right. That's more of a Western than No Country, I would probably argue.
Is True Grit the new one also from the Coens?
Yeah.
It's with
oh my god,
Haley Steinfeld, Matt Damon, Jeff Bridges.
Mortimer
Dick, go do it.
Ah, man, that's interesting. Shit.
True Grit.
I love it. I just thought it was too on the nose. For the new one, anyways.
What?
It's because
for
No Country. How's No Country a Western?
It's modern Western. How's fucking Hell or High Water a Western?
Oh, what do you
Hell
mean?
or High Water's a Western the same way No Country for Old Men is a Western.
I haven't seen it.
Which one?
No Country for Old Men is just takes place in El Paso.
No Country thinks it's more of a neo-noir.
Oh, no, well.
Neo-noir. It might be. I don't know. I haven't seen it either. That's fair. Fine.
True Grit.
Or The Searchers. The Searchers is it's John Ford and John Wayne, and it's the quintessential Western. That's why I wanted to cover it. But at the same time, True Grit's also pretty fucking fantastic. And I'm both. I like the new one. I like the Coen Brothers one.
Also, do we need to revisit Gastro's pick?
Which one?
Considering our stuff for next year.
Oh.
Which pick?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it after the podcast.
How about we do True Grit for your
No, we can take out there.
Remember, There Will Be Blood, what we're doing next year.
We'll talk about it after the podcast.
For our tour month.
Oh, okay,
we'll talk about it after we finish recording.
Okay.
Anyways, we're either doing The Searchers or True Grit next week.
So watch both of them.
Stay tuned to find out.
Next week,
it will more than likely be The Searchers. But we'll see.
It's not even a real
It will more than likely be The Searchers. So watch The Searchers.
Yep.
John Ford, John Wayne. We talked about how in Back to the Future 3...
John Candy.
Not John Candy.
John
Imagine that guy riding a horse. We talked about Back to the Future, how they shot in Monumental Valley, which is this,
Arizona, not even Texas.
It's not, but the Western. And when you think of Westerns, you think that big ass rock. Why?
I like Texas.
Good for you, bud. All right,
like Texas.
Western month next month. We're gonna cover all Westerns.
Do your Peter Griffin
I like
impression
the
of
food.
John Wayne on Thanksgiving.
After that is Spook
women.
month.
Oh my god, I'm so full.
No, you haven't seen that?
No.
On Family Guy, it's like one of the older ones when Peter Griffin's like, "This is my impression of John Wayne on Thanksgiving." Happy Thanksgiving, pilgrims.
Westerns.
Westerns, actually.
After that, next month we're going to be covering our horror picks of the October Spooky Month specials.
Ooh, spoopy.
No, not spoopy.
See, as a kid growing up, I always thought Clint Eastwood was like the Top Gun of Westerns. And we don't have one Western in
We did.
Which one?
Well, we had
we were gonna do the no name
trilogy for Trilogy Month.
Oh shit! Okay.
It just didn't pan out.
Didn't make the cut.
Yep.
Also, we didn't have time.
My bad.
We'll talk to Matt Damon next week.
We'll give him a call.
We might have time for Matt Damon next week. We'll see. That's it. Thank you for tuning into the WatchTower Film Podcast. Western Month. Stay tuned.
I love you guys.
Good night.
Good night.